Thank you. Today I'd like to speak about grassy biomes in real landscapes, specifically the effect of slope aspect on the survival and growth of native woody plants outplanted in grassland in highland Madagascar. This presentation is the work of the authors at the bottom of this slide. Introduction. Areas of forest in highland Madagascar have a distinctive flora, including some locally endemic plants. This vegetation is also rare, threatened, and underrepresented in the protected area network. Missouri Botanical Garden supports the local community to manage one small area on the Tampuketsa of Ankazu Bay, the Ankafo Bay forest. This is shown in the top slide. This is home to the critically endangered tree, Scheizlina tampuketsana, as well as threatened frogs and lemurs. The forest, Ankafo Bay Forest, is smaller now than previously, and the area that remains has been degraded by past exploitation and is therefore vulnerable to wildfires that are an annual occurrence. To protect the threatened species that occur in Ankafo Bay Forest, we support the local community in a program of fire control and forest restoration. Fire control includes maintenance of encircling fire breaks and supporting fire spotting and firefighting teams, and also setting early season fires between the forest and the fire break. Also, to increase the resilience of this tiny forest, just 35 hectares, we have spent a decade experimenting with how best to restore trees to the grassland surrounding the forest. Perhaps these experiments can inform us concerning the relationship between grassland and trees on the Malagasy highlands. Here I'd like to focus on one experiment concerning the survival and growth of native woody plants outplanted in grassland on north-facing, that is to say sunny, versus south-facing slopes. The study site. The climate is subhumid with mists, and it's characterized by two distinct seasons, a hot and wet season and a dry and cool season. The annual precipitation is around 1,500 millimeters per year, and the highest temperatures are in November, lowest temperatures in June. The soil is a strongly acidic, nutrient-poor red laterite. It's very low in organic matter and has low permeability to water. The grassland surrounding the forest burns annually and is dominated by the grass Ludecia simplex. The tree species and shrub species we used for this study are listed here. Please note that I think there is some evidence that shows that Nuxia capitata and Brachyolina ramiflora are savanna species, whereas the other species are trees of forest edge or forest clearing pioneer species, but associated specifically with the forest. Experimental design. 3 plants of each species were outplanted at 30 different north-facing locations and 30 different south-facing locations, 20 meters from the forest edge. The plants were propagated locally in a village nursery and were planted out when they were 8 to 12 months old. They were planted in February 2020, which is at the peak of the wet season, and their survival and growth was surveyed 12 months later. Here are the results. You can see the 6 study species there. The top line shows percentage survival on the sunny north-facing slope versus the more shady south-facing slopes in yellow and blue respectively, and the percentage growth rates under those 2 conditions. Most of the young plants of most of these species survive and grow better on the south-facing slopes compared to the north-facing slopes. But note that the two species that I suspect may be savanna species, the Nuxia and the Brachyliana, there seems to be rather less difference between these two conditions. So, in the southern hemisphere, north-facing slopes receive more sunlight and therefore are warmer and drier and tend to support more drought-resistant vegetation that is less conducive to the growth of most tree species compared to the cooler, more humid south-facing slopes. And in the absence of annual fire, trees are more likely to colonize south-facing slopes compared to the sunnier north-facing slopes. And I think you can see this on the photo here, where the sunny north-facing slope is on the right of the photo, and the more shaded south-facing slope is on the left-hand side of the image. So in conclusion, and this is not earth-shattering, but at a local level, natural distributions of grassland and various woody vegetation types are likely to be influenced by topography, as well as much else, which I'm happy to discuss if asked to do so. Thank you very much.